Hi bankers, welcome to another episode of IBS on international banking. This is meant for the CAIIB aspirants. And we have, in the previous sessions, we have discussed the basic concepts in international banking or foreign exchange. In this session, we are going to attend the numerical part. That means what we have learned in the basics, and we are going to make use of the concepts which you have learned. So first, let us go to the first question. The first question goes like this. Your customer requests for a swift remittance of US dollar 10,000 favoring an American university towards his son's tuition fee. So the thing is, whenever such a question is put before you, you have to, first thing is you have to identify the type of the transaction. There are two different types of transaction. One is a buying transaction, another is a selling transaction. Here you have to remember the buying and selling, we have to look at the banker's perspective. That means if bank is buying foreign currency, bank will apply the buying rate. And if bank is selling foreign currency, bank will apply the selling rate. This is the point to remember. So here, what the bank is going to do? The customer is requesting, give me 10,000 US dollar. That means the bank has to give 10,000 USD to the customer. Or I can say the bank has to sell 10,000 USD to the customer. So bank is doing a selling transaction because bank is giving away foreign currency. If bank is receiving foreign currency and giving Indian rupee, it is a buying transaction. If bank is giving foreign currency and collecting Indian rupee, it is a selling transaction. So no doubt this is selling transaction. So here the transaction is a selling transaction. Since it's a selling transaction, you have to apply the selling rate. So here it is given, this is the rate. So from this, which is the selling rate? The highest rate, or what is written on the right hand side. So the selling rate for this transaction is 82.35. Now you have to load the margin, because margin is the profit for the bank. In any transaction, margin you have to account. But in some questions, if they don't give the margin rate, you can ignore it. So here margin is given. So you have to account the margin. So margin is 0.1% of this 82.35. So you have to calculate. It is 82.35 into 0.1 divided by 100. This you can, using the calculator, you can find. Otherwise, also easily you can calculate by changing the decimal towards the left-hand side by 3 decimal. So you will get 0.08383. That much. You take 4 decimal, 0.083823. 1 second. See, the selling rate is 82.35 and the exchange margin 0.0823. Now, the confusion normally the students gets is what to do with the margin. Whether you have to add or subtract. Here, what's the transaction? The transaction is selling. So, if it's a selling transaction, you have to add the margin. In a buying transaction, you have to subtract. In a selling transaction, you have to add. So, when you add, you will get 3, 2, 4. So, the rate applicable is 82.4323. And we want the rupee equivalent. So to get the rupee equivalent, you multiply this with 10,000. You will get 8,24,323. So look, here is the answer, 8,24,323. We'll move on to the next question. Second question. The following is the interbank rate quoted in the foreign exchange market. Singapore dollar, INR, 52.0025/50. Compute the rate for Singapore dollar for inward remittance and outward remittances. Values put, assuming that bank levy a margin of 5 paise over the interbank rate. So what is meant by interbank market? Interbank market is the market, or it's a place where all the banks are playing. All the banks means Union Bank, Federal Bank, State Bank of India, PNB, all these banks, Bank of Baroda, all these banks are playing in the market. So some bank will be having foreign exchange in surplus, they will sell it. Some banks may be requiring foreign exchange, they will buy it from the interbank. So the prevailing rate in the bank that is given us 52.0025/50. That means it is a two-way quote, and the first rate is the buying rate, the second rate is the selling rate. And here, look, this is Singapore dollar INR. That means the value of one Singapore dollar in terms of Indian rupee. First rate 52.0025 is the buying rate and 52.0050 is the selling. I'll repeat. Here the buying rate is 52.0025 and the selling rate is 52.0050. Now the question is, what is the rate you apply for an inward remittance and what is the rate you apply for an outward remittance? So inward remittance means whether the foreign exchange is coming to India or foreign exchange is going out of India. Inward means we are receiving. So foreign exchange is coming to India. That means the customer is giving foreign exchange to the bank. From a foreign country, a customer is making a remittance and that is coming to India. That is called the inward remittance. So inward remittance means it is a buying transaction for the bank. So for inward remittance, you have to apply. So inward remittance means it is a buying transaction and the buying rate is 52.0025. Now you have to do the margin. What is the margin? Levy a margin of 5 paise over the interbank rate. So in the previous question, it was 0.1%. Here it is given 5 paise per dollar. So both way they can ask. Sometimes the margin will be given in percentage. Sometimes it will be given in absolute terms. Here it is given in absolute terms. That means per dollar, bank take a profit of 5 paise. So here you have to write, you need not calculate. You can straight away write 5 paise. So when 5 paise you convert to Indian rupee, it is 0.05. Am I correct? 0.05. So what do you have to do with this? The margin, this is a buying transaction. Margin is to be subtracted. So 51.9525. Right? So this is the rate you quote for an inward remittance. Now the next is, what is the rate you quote for an outward remittance? So outward remittance means the bank has to give foreign currency. That means bank has to sell foreign currency. So bank will apply the selling rate. And what's the selling rate? Selling rate is 52.0050. Here also they said the margin is 5 paise. So the exchange margin 0.05. And what to do with this margin? This is a selling transaction. Selling transaction margin you have to add. So when you add, you will get 52.0550. So this is the rate for outward remittance and this is the rate for inward remittance. Look, I have done it for you here. 52.0550. Hope that it is clear. We'll move on to, let us go on to the next question. Next question is, your export client has submitted you a side document for USD 1 lakh for negotiation under letter of credit. The exchange rate prevailing are USD INR 79.962550. Customer requests the following. So here it is the customer is your exporter. So export customer means he is exporting and he is submitting the export bill. Therefore, when I told you, in the case whenever the term export comes, as far as the banker is concerned, bank is getting foreign currency and in that case, bank will apply the buying rate. So no doubt, the word export means it is buying for the bank. So bank will apply the buying rate. Confusion should not be there. Now we read further. Customer requests the following. A, retain 60% of the bill in their EEFC account. 60% of the bill in EEFC account. What is EEFC? EFC stands for Exchange Earners Foreign Currency Account. Any exporter or any exporter, when they receive foreign currency, when they do the export business, if they want, they can retain a portion subject to maximum of 100%, the entire amount. If they want, they can park in foreign currency. They don't need to convert Indian rupee. So that account is called Exchange Earners Foreign Currency Account. Any person who is earning foreign exchange, the discretion is given to him. The customer, if they want, they can convert the entire amount Indian rupee and they can use it. If they don't need it at the moment, they can keep it for some time. They can park it in this EFC account. Subject to some regulations, restrictions are there. We will see it later on. So EFC means it's a foreign currency account. So here the customer says, I don't want the entire amount. The value of the bill is 1 lakh. You retain 60% in EFC. That means what's the 60% of 1 lakh? 60,000 USD. So 60,000 USD will be parked in EFC account. EFC account USD 60,000. So how much will be given to the converted Indian rupee to the current account? Current account, the amount credited will be rupee equivalent of USD 40,000. 40,000 needs to be converted and credited to the current account of the customer. Now, one more condition he has given. Pay a commission of 0.5% to the Indian agent as mentioned in the letter of credit. So this is a transaction pertaining to a letter of credit. Against letter of credit, the export has taken place. And there is an involvement of a broker, a Forex broker. Who is a Forex broker? A Forex broker means a person or is an agent who connect the buyer and seller. And this person needs some commission. So he has to register with FEDI and the FEDI will give an accreditation certificate. Based on that only, the broker can act as a Forex broker. So this person is acting as a Forex broker and as per the term, he has to pay, the exporter has to pay 0.5% as this broker's fee or broker's commission. So how much is 0.5% comes? So here the confusion is, on which amount 0.5% you have to calculate? Whether on this 40,000 or on 1 lakh. It should be on 1 lakh. Because the business canvassed or solicited by the broker is for $1 lakh. And he is eligible for 4.5% of 1 lakh. So 0.5% of 1 lakh comes to 500 USD. Therefore, from this broker's commission is coming to USD 500. So this 500 will go to the broker. So actually 39,500 will be the amount which the customer will be receiving to the current account. So this 39,500 you have to convert to Indian rupee. That's the question. What is the rupee amount you credit to the customer's account in Indian rupee if the exchange margin is 0.1%? I'll repeat once again. Here is an export bill. The value of the bill is $1 lakh. So $1 lakh is the bill, but the customer says, I don't need the entire amount. The 60% of the bill you park separately in dollar account, in my EFC account, and give me only 40,000. Therefore, the amount that to be converted is 40,000 USD. But out of 40,000 USD, again, he has to pay the commission, broker's commission. Broker's commission coming to 0.5%. 0.5% of 1 lakh comes to 500. So that USD 500 is given to the agent in rupee equivalent that you can calculate. So the balance amount to be credited to the current account is USD 39,500. Now you have to calculate. The question is how much rupee you calculate. You credit to the account. So rupee equivalent, to calculate the rupee equivalent, you have to go for the rate. The rate is, these are the rates. So which rate you take? There are two rates. Always the rate will be given in a two-way quote, the buying rate and selling rate. Here it's an export. So export means for the bank, Bank is receiving foreign currency. So bank has to apply the buying rate. And the buying rate here is 79.9625. So the buying rate for the bill is 79.9625. Now, if margin is there, you have to account the margin. It is given. Margin is given as 0.1%. So calculate 0.1% of this, 0.0799. You have to write in 4 decimal, 0.0799. Now, this is the buying rate and this is the margin. Now, what to do with the margin? Add or subtract? Again, the confusion. What's the rate or what's the transaction? Buying. And in buying, what to do with the margin? You have to subtract. So you deduct the margin, you will get the rupee equivalent, and that you calculate and you can convert to Indian rupee. So I have done it for you. Look here. Here it is, the solution. USD 1 lakh, amount credited 60,000 to the EFC account, 40% to the current account, and the buying rate 79.9625, and you load the margin, it is 0.0799, and you have to deduct it. So when you deduct it, you will get the rate as 79.8826. So this into 40,000, you are getting 31,95,304. This is the rupee equivalent credited to the current account of the exporter. We'll move on to the next question. And here I have done it for 40,000, and from 40,000 I have deducted the rupee equivalent of $500 to the broker, and the final amount is 31,55,363. So this is the rupee equivalent of 40,000, and out of 40,000, $500 has to be given to the broker. So $500 rupee equivalent at the same rate, 79.8826 is coming to 39,941. You recover it, you pay this to the broker. So the net amount credited to the current account is 31,55,363. We'll move on to the next question. XYZ Bank, London, wants to purchase USD 5 million against GBP for funding their Nostro account with you, and they have credited GBP equivalent of Indian rupee 5 million to the Loro account with BBME London. What is the amount of GBP received in your account if the ongoing interbank market rates are USD INR 82.512550 and GBP USD 1.223040? Little bit complicated question. First, you have to identify what is the nature of the transaction, whether it is a buying transaction or a selling transaction. So you read the question once again. XYZ Bank, London, it's a foreign bank. They want to purchase Indian rupee 5 million. That means they require 5 million Indian rupee. This XYZ Bank, London is maintaining an account with you. That's one thing. So they want 5 million Indian rupee, and naturally this bank is in London, so they have only GBP. So they will give GBP, and they require 5 million Indian rupee. This is the transaction. So the XYZ Bank London will give GBP, and they require Indian rupee. So what is the transaction for the bank? See, against funding their Nostro account with you. So this XYZ Bank is maintaining a Nostro account with you. That means they are maintaining an Indian rupee account with you. That is their account with you. And they have credited GBP equivalent of 5 million US dollar to your account with BBME. That's the question. Loro account with BBME. So that means XYZ Bank London is giving GBP to you. And XYZ Bank wanted Indian rupee. So what you are getting? You are getting GBP. You are getting GBP. So receiving GBP. You are getting GBP and you have to give Indian rupee. What is the transaction for you? When you receive foreign currency and you give Indian rupee, it is a buying transaction for you. When you receive Indian rupee and pay foreign currency, it's a selling transaction for you. Here you are receiving foreign currency, you are receiving GBP. Therefore, it is a buying transaction for you. And what is the rate you require? You are getting GBP, you have to pay Indian rupee. So, we want the buying rate of GBP in terms of Indian rupee. Here, most of the candidates, they will just say they want to purchase 5 million Indian rupee. So you have to sell 5 million Indian rupee. Like that, don't get those confusion. Here, what I suggest is, you look at the question in this way. What you are getting and what you are giving. What you are getting and what you are giving. If you are getting foreign currency and you are giving Indian rupee, it is a buying transaction. If you are giving foreign currency and you are getting Indian rupee, it's a selling transaction. Here you are getting foreign currency, you are getting GBP, you have to pay Indian rupee. So it's a buying transaction for you. So we require the buying rate of this currency pair, GBP INR. And look, what are the rates available? GBP INR not directly available. The two rates available, one is USD INR. This is 82.512550. And second is GBP USD. This is 1.223040. We want this pair, GBP INR. That's not available. GBP INR means GBP in terms of Indian rupee. The rates available, one is dollar in terms of Indian rupee, another is GBP in terms of US dollar. So we have to recollect the cross rate mechanism. What is cross rate mechanism? If the two quotations are available and in the two quotations there is a common currency, to get the other currency pair, you can use the rule. There are two situations in cross rate mechanism. One common currency on the same side, another common currency on the opposite side. If the common currency lies on the opposite side, the rule is very simple. It's multiplication. To get the buying rate, multiply the two buying rates, and to get the selling rate, multiply the two selling rates. Second situation, if the common currency is on the same side, you have to reciprocate and make it similar to the first situation and do the multiplication. So here, the common currency is dollar and dollar is on the opposite side. Here it is in the base currency, here this is quoting currency. So therefore, it is in the opposite side. So the first rule, and the rule is multiplication. So multiplication means this is the common currency, the remaining is this one, GBP as base currency and INR as quote currency. So to get this rate, GBP, this is the one we require also. And we want the buying rate. So rule says to get the buying rate, what you have to do? It is buying rate of 1 into buying rate of 2. And what is buying rate of 1? This is equation number 1. This name as 1 and this name as number 2. So from first equation, what is the buying rate? The first one, 82.5125. So 82.5125 into second buying rate 1.2230. 1.2230. This you simplify. So I have done it for you. To save the time, we'll go to the solution. Using cross rate mechanism, we have to find GBP INR. So buying rate of GBP INR multiply. So this much I have done, 82.5125 into 1.2230, and that when you multiply, you will get 100.9028. So this is the rate. So you got the rate. Now what's the question? The question is, what is the amount of GBP received in your account? So how much here? There is no mention about the exchange margin, so you can ignore it. Now the question is, how much GBP is required to make 5 million Indian rupee? How to get that? They want 5 million Indian rupee. They are ready to give GBP equivalent to 5 million Indian rupee. And the rate applicable is, this is the rate. This is the rate, 100.9128. So 1 GBP is equal to 100.9128. So how many GBP is required to make 5 million Indian rupee? What is the answer? It is 5 million divided by 100.9128. So look, amount of GBP required is 5 million. 5 million means 50 lakh. 1 million is 10 lakh. So 50 lakh divided by 100.9128, which is equal to GBP 49,547.73. So the answer is GBP 49,547.73. I'll repeat the question once again. Here, there is a bank, a foreign bank, which is maintaining a rupee account with you. The bank is XYZ Bank London, and they require Indian rupee 5 million, and they are ready to give GBP. So that means you are getting GBP, you have to pay Indian rupee. That means you have to apply the buying rate of GBP INR. To find the buying rate of GBP INR is not directly available. Instead, you have this rate and this rate. So you have to apply the cross rate mechanism, and the situation is common currency on the opposite side. Do the multiplication to get the buying rate, multiply the two buying rates, and the two buying rates are 82.5125 and 1.2230. You multiply it, you got it as 100.9128. Therefore, 1 GBP is equal to 100 rupees and 9.9128. Therefore, for 5 million, how much GBP is required? 5 million divided by 100.9128, you are getting it as GBP 49,547.73.